Of course, I'm like little dog, like.
Well, I have to test it out.
Little dog. I love.
You know, never in my life have I ever thought about that if I ever stay in a hotel, okay, that I should be checking how things are going to sound for the person down below or anything like that. Generally speaking, if you go somewhere and if you are with your partner, you know, obviously somebody that you do sleep with or whatever, generally speaking, if it happens, it just happens. Nobody actually ever thinks of these things. Well, let me not say nobody, because clearly them two do, and maybe other people do, but I just don't really see what the big deal is. At the end of the day, I have paid for this room, okay, right? For me and my person, okay, to obviously use that room for our time whilst we're here within the area, okay? And hell, there are even some people that actually pay for hotels specifically so they can have fun time, okay? But I've never really come across anybody that would then be like, okay, let's just see if they can hear us. And so what if they can? So what if they can? Man, listen, at least people will know the king has arrived, you know what I'm saying? But nonetheless though, let's get into the real nitty and gritty of what went down in this episode with Georgie and Darcey.
I make my choice to marry you, but my parents, they don't know it that well. Advice how to dress and everything. I don't know if their expectation matching my reality,
Okay, so obviously this is the opening conversation here where George is literally saying at the end of the day, you know, for me, I like, to my parents, I am a great child, you know, a great person, and they love me, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, I know that they have an expectation of me, especially even when it comes to who I choose to marry, who I choose to be with, you know, and they're going to expect me to choose someone that's going to dress a certain type of way, carry themselves a certain type of way. And that's why he ends up saying to Darcey, this is why I tried to, you know, show you what you should wear, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's the thing, though. If you say that to somebody, is he not thinking about how that's going to make someone feel? I mean, listen, let's just hear what Darcey had to say in response.
That's kind of, in a way.
You know, like, are you embarrassed of me? Like,
I never said that.
You didn't have to say it, but that's exactly what it felt like. Okay, I think anybody in their right mind would have the same reaction as Darcey. If anything, you could say Darcey's reaction was quite tamed. There's some people that'll be like, oh, so you're trying to tell me that I'm not good enough to be with you so your family would approve? You know, some people would be going to those lengths, but they start making the whole thing a whole scene, you know? So I got to give respect to Darcey for just kind of for reacting in a civil way, because she really could have gone crazy with it. But either way, though, that is the question. And he says, I never say that. Listen, Darcey is old enough to understand, and so are you, George, old enough to understand that sometimes people will say things to you indirectly, but this is what they're really saying. So don't try and act as if, or don't try and make Darcey feel as if she's like dumb. You know what I mean? Like, come on now. She sees through this BS.
we feel judged. I shouldn't even have to consider that it could be my age or I'm not worthy or good enough to be around his family.
Because the bottom line is, this is a man that married you, and therefore him choosing to marry Darcey should obviously mean that she's good enough. And also, let's not forget, Darcey walks away from him. I remember at least 1 or 2 times she walked away from him. And each time she's walked away from him, this man has chased her down and done whatever he could to win her back. So why chase someone down, win that person back, knowing full well that you may actually be embarrassed about them? But here's the thing though, guys. There's some tea coming. But let's continue.
You know, I've lived 50 long years of my life, raised 2 beautiful daughters. And did you tell them you're happy in this marriage?
I never shared nothing bad.
You know when the question is, did you tell them you're happy? And he's like, I never shared anything bad. That wasn't the question, buddy.
So this is what perplexed me a little bit. I'm like a little, whoa, it's like a whoa moment for me. So you never told your family that you're happy in this marriage?
Which is what she wanted to hear, which is what she wanted to know. But instead, he's like, well, I've never told him anything bad. That wasn't the question, buddy. You know, if I don't tell them anything bad, then they assume that everything is good. So you should still be saying it, right? I mean, listen, anybody who's in a relationship, you know, yeah, I'm pretty sure people privately, when you have conversations with your loved ones, your family, friends, whatever, okay, there's going to be the conversation every now and then, especially with your friends. So how's things with you and your person, okay? Is everything okay? Is everything good? Do they make you happy? Blah, blah, blah. And to be fair, something that I can imagine is quite a frequent thing with parents as well. I would probably say mothers probably ask you more than fathers. I don't know. But either way, though, it's definitely a conversation that would be had within you and your people. So for him to say that I've never said anything bad is very, very concerning.
or with me?
But did. Like, I don't want to worry them with extra stuff. My arguments with you or your arguments with me is
They go
between
both
us.
ways.
No,
When he started talking about I don't want to worry them with extra stuff, no one asked you that question, you know, my arguments with you, but no, that wasn't the question. Have you ever said that you're happily married? That's all that matters. Have you ever said anything positive about me to you? But nah, broski's talking about something completely different. Digging a hole is what he's doing.
exactly.
Sure, I don't really care. You're not proud of me. Yeah, you're embarrassed. Okay.
I'm when you act like that, I'm very embarrassed, actually.
Oh dear. Honestly, there is very few times in this life when I do a review on Darcey and I really ever say anything that's on her side, but this whole situation here, Georgi has definitely been in the wrong, you know, in my opinion. I feel like he's approached the situation incorrectly. He literally started off by saying that, you know, I know my family has expectations for me, which is why I try to get you to dress a certain type of way. Who says that? Who says that? Well, of course, Georgi does, clearly. And then also on top of that, rather than answering the question itself in particular, have you ever said anything that revolves around me making you happy in this marriage? And this man literally said, I ain't said shit, but tried to word it in a whole different way. Like, bruh. And now he's talking about something completely different. Oh boy. What a way to make a woman feel special, hey? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't listen, but you hear me. No, you don't hear me. You just listen.
Georgie.
I mean, listen, to be honest with you, he can complain about the fact that, you know, that she doesn't hear him, that she may listen but she doesn't hear him, but at the same time, Darcey could sit there and say exactly the same thing. Both of you two are having a communication issue right now, which is not good. It's crazy though, because before this scene, Darcey was talking about how since they've been in Bulgaria and, you know, they're kind of having like they're kind of having like another honeymoon, that she said that things have been quite good, the intimacy's been great, blah, 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 blah. And then boom, bam, we get to this scene and I guess things aren't as great as you think they are. Ooh-wee.
You don't hear me. There is professional profiler for the military. So he will judge every little things about Darcey.
This whole thing, do you know the thing that makes me, the thing that's just weird to me is that he keeps talking about how his dad is this guy who is a profiler for the military, right? So does Georgi not understand that even if Darcey was to dress the way he wants her to dress, the dad would then still be able to see through it? Because if Darcey was to dress the way she doesn't want to dress, she would obviously show signs of being uncomfortable at the table or whatever the scene would be, do you see what I'm saying, okay? Because at the end of the day, I can imagine her sitting there going, you know what I mean, okay? I can imagine her looking at mirrors and stuff going, you'll be able to see by her body language that she's uncomfortable. So really and truly, the fact that your dad is a profiler is more of a reason why Darcey should turn up as Darcey. So therefore he sees her for who she is, and therefore he can choose to respect her for who she is, or choose to not like her for who she is, rather than see her in a position where she's now dressing in a way that she doesn't want to dress, and he's now seeing that she's uncomfortable, and therefore he's not going to be able to respect her for who she is. Now, don't get me wrong, there's the flip side. The flip side could be, well, maybe the dad's going to respect the fact that Darcey has gone out of her way to dress conservatively out of respect for him and his wife. There is that part too. You never know. It depends on how he wants to judge her. You know what I mean? But I will say this though. I don't know if I'm contradicting myself to what I said previously, but I will say that personally, Darcey should just Darcey should turn up as Darcey. There's no point in faking someone who you're not. It's just, that's the grand scheme of it. Georgi made a decision to marry you. He made a decision to want to be with you. And if he knew that this was going to be a problem for his family, well, then guess what? This is a Georgi problem and not a Darcey problem. Because it was his responsibility to make sure that he married somebody that was going to be equitable or that's going to be enough for the family. But if he didn't, that's on him. He's the one that's got to, put on his big boy pants and say to his family, this is the type of woman that I love to be with. Case closed. You know what I'm saying? It's a calamity. But here's the thing though. This whole storyline that's going on with Georgi and Darcey, this whole storyline about them never meeting his family before? Well, some information has been brought to the table that is quite interesting that may say that this whole storyline is nothing but a lie, that Darcey has met the family before. So this is obviously what's been brought to my attention. Okay, now this is a post that was deleted. Now I don't know when it was necessarily deleted, but it was a post that was there 2 years ago. Happy Mother's Day to the amazing mum. And you see this post here, it was by Georgi. But here's the thing though, do you know where the post was? Well, folks, let me just disappear real quick. There we are. Now, if you look at this screen right here, do you know where they are right now? They are in Niagara Falls, the state side of Niagara Falls, not the Canadian side. So the mom has definitely been to America before. So the question is, back in 2023 when the mom was here, well, I say here, I'm in the UK, what am I talking about? Was there in the United States. The question is, did she get a chance to meet Darcey? Why wouldn't she? Why would she be there and not meet Darcey? That would be weird. But there is also some more information that I do have that I want to bring forward to you guys as well, that I will be doing another video regarding George's past with women and why maybe some of the women in the past also have not met his parents, because he's also had other women in the past and he said that all of his exes have never met his parents, even though he was actually what in the past? Well, we'll get to that in another video, so stay tuned for that one. But nonetheless though, give me your thoughts on this episode and we'll talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, peace.